Welcome to Kinky Knots Cafe's Proactive is the Way. Proactive is the Way is a podcast brought to you by two sisters who dove into the health and wellness industry, one planned and the other by fate. We have joined forces to bring to you authentic conversations about our personal experiences as it relates to managing our health, working within the industry, and taking our combined knowledge to share with you some pearls of wisdom that you can take with you to live the best version of you. Over the next year, we will continue to host 2 episodes a month. And each month, we will focus on a topic that is designed to increase an awareness of tools and resources to enhance an aspect of your mind, body, and spirit. Our topic this month, that good life. While discussing the good life, we will be focusing on the Hungarian American psychologist book, Flow, by MIHALY CSIKSZENTMIHALY. Last week, we had a fire and was displaced. While we managed to land on our feet like a cat with a bazillion lives, I couldn't help but to reflect on that moment and how we truly have a good life. You see, we are a family who tends to walk in faith and understands that when trials come our way, tribulations are soon to follow. But guess what, folks? It doesn't last forever. During those times, we merely extend our hand and welcome the guidance of the universe to do what it does best. With the understanding of our intentions and heart's greatest desire, we permit it to lead us on that path to that good life. So, that good life, how do we define it? I suspect that it is different from one to the other, as while we may be of one species, we generally have different principles that we leverage to guide us in framing and sticking to what we tend to value most in life. So Tiff, tough week last week, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So our home that we grew up in since third and fourth grade respectively was decimated. When you go through an experience like that, losing, a piece of yourself, being shuttled from home to home, you tend to ask yourself, now, what is this life all about? Why did this happen? So let's kick things off. How do we define it? How do you, Tiffany, define meaning in life? From your perspective, what makes life so significant?
What makes life so significant for me are the relationships with the things in my dimension or the things that surround me. So when I look at my relationship with work is really big for me. My relationship with people, my relationship with my animals.
Mm-hmm.
Those things for me, relationship, are what makes life meaningful.
Mm-hmm. do you find that there's anything else, or do you feel that that is kind of one of the greatest components for defining, or I shouldn't say defining, but making your life significant, is just about the relationships that you have built, you've cultivated within your work, within your home life?
Yeah,
As
because if I had to limit it to just like three or four, I would say those things are what I have found meaning in,
okay,
and then as a result have um, made my life meaningful.
okay,
So even my relationship with academics, education.
yes, okay. Yeah, I would say from my perspective, when I first thought about this, because it was kind of difficult for me. I created the question, by the way, but I was like struggling to answer it. I was
She
like,
did.
what exactly did I mean when I said that?
Right, because I know, because it was kind of, it's
Yeah,
kind of broad.
it is very broad, but I was able to boil it down to two uh, specific meanings for me. And the
Okay.
first one that I thought about was from a personal perspective, because, I always talk about taking care of ourselves first, so that we can, ensure that our cup is full to pour into others. But I feel like when I think about what makes life so significant, what makes it meaningful, is when we have the opportunity to live the desires of our heart, right?
Mhm.
Without the imposition from others, or even imposing our will on others. I remember yesterday, my mom and I, we were having a conversation, and I remember her saying to me, because we were going to get I was going to get passports for the kids, and she was like, I just want you to live the will of God, and I was thinking to her,
What?
like,
Where did that come from?
huh? Because she was, I guess she doesn't want me to have my passport. I'm not sure. She was just concerned that I wanted to get my passport, which I was getting for myself and our children, because we're supposed to be heading out on college tours in the next couple of months. And Aja, she wants to head to Canada to take a look at a school there. So, and I don't know, my mom was concerned about me going out of the country again. She truly wants me to like never leave the US ever again. But anyways, and so I was just sharing with her. I said, Ma, we really have to be mindful that when we talk about the will of God, think about where you get that statement from. And are you truly speaking from the perspective of God, or are you speaking from your own will, your own desire? Right?
Mhm.
I said, because if you think about yourself as a parent, if you think about yourself as a parent, what are some of the greatest things that you want me to be in life? And, she starts going through all of her different um, things. Well, I just want you to be independent. I want you to be able to take care of your children. I said, okay, so let's stop there. I said, Ma, I said, if this is what you desire of me, why do you think God desires even more? I believe that when we talk about the will of God, God desires or wants the things that we that want for us, I should say, rather. He would want what we want. And that's the whole reason why you kind of have these messages, these communications coming from your conscience with regards to what you feel is his will.
And then what I want to know is, How do you know you're not God?
First of all, bingo. So a we are a reflection, right? We are a reflection of. And when I say that, because we do have the communications, I don't look at God as a single source. I look at God as collective. It's a collective source of energy, a collective source of messages, a collective source of guidance. And I truly believe if leveraging, because, and this is so key, I really believe we need to have this kind of class in schools, but leveraging our gift of discernment, learning how to leverage that more effectively, we take those messages and we start crafting, kind of our own principles, our own values, right? And what we define as good and what works for us, etc.
And the reason why I say, and I wasn't trying to be smart aleck to say, how do you know that you're not God? But if you look at provisions for human life, if you look at provisions for human life, the will of God obviously includes a provision for freedom.
Yeah, freedom of expression, freedom to do good, freedom to do bad, right? Honestly, because it is in all of that is our learning process.
Right.
And so I think it's so important. But I wanted to bring that up because I was telling her, I said, Ma, I said, absolutely, I am living the will of God, because what I truly desire, as long as I'm not imposing my will on others, is going to be what He desires for me, because He gives us the freedom to choose, right?
And I think it's too complex to present to someone about the will that they have interpreted of someone else's, because how do I know you didn't misinterpret that?
Which we do very often. Absolutely. Or not and misinterpret, but maybe that's just based on your upbringing, based on the information, your background,
or what you choose to value.
Exactly. How you interpret it, right?
Oh, I get that.
And so, yeah. And so I was like, we got to be really careful about saying that all the time. What is God's will? It is not a uniform will, FYI.
It
right?
can't be, because if you look through the Bible, he has different wills for every character in the Bible.
Right.
There was a different will from the first, what are the first 5 chapters, the Pentateuch, all the way through the New Testament. There's a different will in every chapter.
Right. So we have to be mindful of that. And so when I started thinking about, the significance of life, the meaning of life, I just thought to myself, we are going to live the desires of our heart, as long as we are being mindful that when we are living those desires, we are being mindful not to impose our will on others, right? The secondary piece that I said, that helps me to understand, or what makes life so significant, is the whole notion that we are guides to others. And because we are guides to others, in that comes great responsibility. And I'm just going to bring this up because, we walk around in life on a daily basis, and we serve to guide others. And sometimes we do it knowingly, and sometimes we don't realize that we are doing it because we are being worked through others. And so it's just very important that when we guide, we guide effectively. there also needs to be a course on that, which is something that I've been thinking about putting together.
But you'll have to expand on that because that too is broad. So basically, are you saying that your inspiration should be responsible?
I,
Like, what are you?
Absolutely. Your inspiration, your guidance to others, right? So you were talking about your relationships, right? For you, what makes life so significant are the relationships that you have. But within those relationships comes great responsibility. For example, with your animals, right? Your animals have a dependency upon you, right?
Mhm.
You decided to go purchase those animals. You brought them in your home, and now you are serving to make sure that they are well taken care of, right?
Mhm.
You're guiding them with regards to, what's appropriate to do in the house, what's not appropriate to do in the house. You're making sure that they are fed, getting exercise, right? And so, in that, you are serving as a guide for your animals. You are and in doing so comes a great responsibility because you decided to uh, you decided to be a part of their lives and invite them into your life, right? Um, is that what you meant when you said help to define that? Was that good enough for you, or do you need further?
I mean, we can build on it.
Okay, okay,
I just think it's a complex, and I actually kind of just don't like when you and mommy go back and forth about the will of God, because if that's the case, the will of God also says don't sit your ass on the couch and watch TV all day and let your legs swell.
talking about.
The will of God doesn't want you to be a couch potato.
Right, right, right.
That's not inspiring anyone. That's inspiring death.
Exactly.
Like, like you, so I don't know why y'all go back and forth about the will of God. It's too complex. It's too complex. That's like talking to somebody about their bank account. You don't know what they got in their damn bank account.
Right, right.
So like I don't know. That is just so I don't know. It's not intrusive. I know she doesn't mean any harm.
No,
You know, I love mommy to death, but just stuff like that. Oh, my skin, my whole spirit come up out my feet all the way to my. She just make because she said something the other day that I was just like, mommy, stop. No, stop. I
mm-hmm.
had to stop her because I was like, I'm gonna go off, and I don't want to go off. It's not even necessary anymore. It's
Right.
not necessary. I felt like I have, and not necessarily proved, but I have established a standard. This is what you can expect from me.
Mm-hmm.
So if that is what you can expect from me, and that's how it's going to be, then you really shouldn't have no questions about,
Yeah,
like what it is I'm doing.
you move away. You just let it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's interesting that you said that because I had a friend send me a text this week, and this was about relationships. And basically, it says you don't get to choose to tell people how to treat you, but you do get to choose not to participate. And I didn't respond because I said, you know what, I'm not going to participate. Then, so I choose not to participate. It's not it says I don't get a vote.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm not participating.
Yeah.
So because I don't like when things affect my mental health.
Mm-hmm.
And I try to keep stuff far away from me that could potentially have that impact
Mm-hmm.
or remodel my thinking from what I know has worked for me.
Right.
Because I've always been articulate, I've always been able to communicate with anybody. Like
Right.
I could communicate, I could leave right now. If there was a transient on the street, I might not feel that comfortable, but I could communicate with them
Right.
and I can gauge, the communication to where, so I feel comfortable communicating,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't feel comfortable participating when I feel like something is going to um, uh, piece away my wholeness,
Mm-hmm.
like, or what I feel that makes me whole.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So, no, so
Yeah. So I think that I wanna do a shift, because I think that when we talk about meaning, we talk about, you know, our lives and what makes it so significant. I always want to understand, um, do we understand why we are here? Right?
and
Why?
then why are some people chosen? Like, they know
Mhm.
why they are here, and why the rest of us can't hear why we are here.
Right, right. Yeah. And when you can't hear, or when you need more support because you have not been chosen, how do you go about cultivating purpose within your life? So let's expound on that a little bit when
You
we
know, there's a really good book on that, The Purpose Driven Life by Joel Osteen.
okay, okay. Tell me a little something about it.
No, that was it.
Okay. All right. You're like, no, 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 there's a book about it. But yeah, tell me what's your perspective on it? I've seen the book. I've never read it though.
um, just
It
briefly.
was probably a long time ago you read
Yeah,
it.
that's what I was gonna say, and I'm trying to remember the details. But he knew his purpose.
Right,
He knew, and he doesn't say it, but he's a prosperity preacher.
right. Mm-hmm,
And those things were real for him.
mm-hmm,
But could he be inspirational enough? Can he be powerful enough to put that drive in other people?
mm-hmm,
It's impossible, because I think most other people are using success, using prosperity as a destination. And as we know, when you aim for it, you always miss it.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
When you aim for something, you always miss it.
mm-hmm.
Um, uh, and
So,
I probably should expand on that, but I will in 2 weeks.
oh, okay. Because I was gonna say when you aim on it,
Mm-hmm.
you miss it. I was going to say, so what, instead of aiming, what would you suggest?
Instead of aiming, hold on, I'll tell you. Um, uh, Instead of aiming, you just prepare.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Okay, so don't aim without preparation. Don't start moving forward without having a goal, or I should say a plan, right? Because what did they say? A dream without plans, or a is it a goal or a dream?
it must ensue. So, for example, I'll use an example.
Mhm,
I aimed to go to medical school,
mhm,
right? Remember, I was doing medical minority education program. I got accepted at Baylor, but then I ended up going to Case Western. Remember, and I stayed up there in Africa, and Mahogany and all of them lived up there in Cleveland. And I did that program.
mhm,
But then what happened actually was nursing,
mhm.
right? And nursing ended up choosing me. And it's just that it can't be pursued. It has to ensue you.
Okay, so it has to choose you in a way. So but you were walking on the path of becoming a doctor.
Right. But these are energies and forces that we don't have control over that surround us, right? So
Mhm.
even though I was surrounded by this is who I want to be, I'm still
In
in
the
there in the
industry.
surroundings, right?
Mhm.
But um
Because even your friends that you highlighted, they're not medical doctors per se, right? So after
a dentist.
a dentist,
And
right?
her sister's a nurse practitioner. Her other sister's a lawyer. Her brother's a doctor.
Okay. So you're don't aim, but you should move in that direction and then allow
it to ensue you.
Yeah, and ensue you. Okay. So
I'll expand on it. I'll give the topic a little bit more discussion.
Okay, when we dive.
Yeah, I need to develop it. I need to develop that.
Okay.
Because that can kind of get confusing.
Okay. Yeah, because I would like to learn a little bit more about where you were going with that. I think that would help our listeners better understand with regards to cultivating, kind of purpose within their lives. How do they do that? How to do that most effectively. And if you want to add, definitely chime in here. But I'll share. I felt like, in order to live the desires within our life. So as I was sharing with you earlier, how do I define meaning in my life? It's about living our desires of our heart. But in order to live the desires, we must be in constant pursuit of growth and development. And you talked earlier about education. I believe that we have to be consummate learners. Constantly upgrading ourselves on a path to being progressive and living in excellence, right? Living in excellence. I believe we also have to be open, making sure that we share that knowledge with the intention to help others on their plight, being gardeners in a sense.
Living because you're driven.
Yes.
You're driven to live.
Yeah, being driven to live, and then also being driven to help others with, as they are moving forward. So serving, not necessarily as a formal mentor, but where we have the capabilities to provide guidance, we do that. And how do we do that effectively, right? That definitely we have to be mindful of how we do that, because some people can take offense to that. And
who cares about offenses when you're using your talents and your abilities and your gifts to shape others or to shape your surroundings.
Sure. And I say offensive from a perspective of you want to be an effective communicator, because sometimes the way that we communicate, I know when I started off earlier in my career, I had a hard time with telling people versus sharing information versus, as I was mentioning earlier, being a gardener by planting the seed. And then every now and again, checking in, watering it, checking in, weeding it, and then just making sure that I step away from individuals and just let nature have its way. Just let things take their course based on the nurturing that I've provided them, right? The other point that I wanted to hone in on here was helping folks to understand that in this, as we are cultivating purpose, realize that there will be good days. There will be bad days.
It's a whole song.
Oh, is it?
I've had some good days. No, I've had some bad days. I've had some hills to climb. That one.
Yeah. So there will be good days. There'll be bad days. There'll be days where we don't know what the hell is going on, just and we're indifferent to that. And it is within all of that, within all those experiences, the good, the bad, and indifference. All good. All right. So let me ask you this, Tiffany, if you could look back on your life or even currently within your present life,
because I like to stay present.
Like to stay present. Yeah, me too. But in the spirit of helping us to hone in the most optimal experience within our life, which could be a continuation right up into today, up until today. What was the most optimal experience that you had within your life that was meaningful, that was purposeful?
That you feel like gave me direction or what?
And you can take that whichever direction you want to go in.
Oh, I know, having Taryn.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because now, as hard as it was for me, mothering, and not really feeling capable, but now I can see that I was capable. And I think I was talking to Daryl about this last night, and I didn't, and as smart as I believe that I am, I didn't know how to apply grace. So I was really, really hard on my mothering experience.
Okay.
Well, I got to go into the details of that, but I having her and now looking back at I appreciate the challenges that I had actually. And the reason why I'm saying that is because of what I do as a nurse practitioner. I'm able to connect even better with patients who come to me and talk to me and have told me an experience. And I don't impose, but I am able to have a perspective that allows them to tell me their story. Because I know what I went through. So having Taryn was
with your optimal experiences in
is
that?
one of my most optimal experiences. I still kind of don't know what she's here for or what she was kind of like here, because I really feel like the people that are inserted along your path, like, because I said this the other day, I said, I think I was just meant as a vessel to bring this person into the world. I still don't know what the meaning of all that was, because her dad and I didn't have a relationship,
Right.
her entire life. So, but I feel like I'm getting closer to the meaning of that. But she has brought to me a better understanding of certain things I was struggling with, and how to be. I think she helped me, because you know how hard I used to be. Oh, I used to be. I was worse than what I am now.
Walking on eggshells.
That's what y'all always used to
I'm
say.
like, we gotta walk on
I
eggshells.
was so. I think the birth of Taryn was like, if it could be a title of a book, it would be like The Birth of Taryn Completes a Softer Approach in Tiffany or something, because I was so fucking mean. Like, I was, if I was mean then, I feel like I'm nicer now.
You are. You definitely have. You definitely have changed.
Because I didn't
Soften you. Absolutely.
Yeah, but I don't think I was mean in a sense of like, it wasn't intentional. I think it built over a defense mechanism. But I think what I see moving forward is that, like, Taryn is going to eventually be like a support, and not like the support we give to our mother. Not that kind of support. But I don't know. I just get these different feelings. I don't have all of it, but I feel like her presence, her being inserted in my life was huge for me. Was a turning point for me, because I think I was probably spiraling downward.
Okay. And she was brought in to kind of uplift you. right? Or help you to see
to help
things.
me see the sunnier side. Help me to see the sunnier side of life, because I can remember when I would study and she would call herself trying to feed herself, and she learned how to use.
Smart. Let me tell you, she was
So smart.
yes, the girl,
And
her little self.
and jump and climb up. I'll never forget
That's all I keep thinking about, how she would
how
climb.
she climbed. Yeah, how she would climb and she wasn't scared to climb.
Right.
And how she used to climb up on the cabinets.
Yeah.
And I would wake up and she had fixed a whole meal. And this was at 3 years old.
Yes.
I was like, what in the world is this kid doing? She used to drive me nuts. But yeah,
that's very cute. And I like that you honed in on kids. Once again, you and I freaking aligned again, because one of the most optimal experiences in my life was children. When I had my beautiful babies, and
especially Brittany.
yeah, I mean,
she was Toya. I will never forget. Remember when y'all stayed in that small ass apartment in New York City? And we all slept in the bed together. It was me, you, and Andrew. And I was kicking him. I was like, man, this bed too small to be all of us sleeping in there. But Brittany was over in her crib and she woke up, and with her big eyes, she came over to the crib. She was like, Mommy. I was like, I love her. And then I think when you went to work one day and y'all lived in that other apartment in the Bronx, it was bigger.
Yes, 2 bedroom.
Yeah, it was huge. And she was going in the trash can. And that was the first time I made a mistake as an aunt. I screamed at her, and I was like, ow, that's nasty. Get out the trash can. And she was so scared. I was like, I'm so sorry. I saw her face. Cause oh my God, I love Brittany.
Yes, my little Brittany. So, and I have
I love all your children.
Thank you. No, yeah, they love you too.
May's my favorite.
May a reflection of you. I don't know how that happened. Oh my God.
You had 2 of my children. I'm very positive that I should have probably had 3 children. You had 2 of them.
Yeah, well, you should have, because I remember telling Ma I was never having kids. I was like, I am never having kids.
And remember how I used to go get the kids every weekend?
Like 100,000 kids you used to babysit, doing diapers. I used to be looking at you like, she is crazy,
I loved kids.
Oh my goodness. And
I wanted, and here I am, one,
and I got 4.
Why did I
work?
Because up where I work, there's a lot of children who don't have parents. There's signs everywhere that say, "Oh, be an adoptive, parent, or be a foster." Yes. And so I told Daddy, I was like, "I'm gonna give me a Hispanic baby." He was like, "You are not." I said, "Well, I want a son." He was like, "No, do not do that." He said, "Live your life." Mm-hmm. But I think my life would be complete with a boy. I've always wanted a boy. And as a matter of fact, I thought Taryn was going to be a boy, but that's what I get. See, you aim for a target and you missed it.
That's not what you needed.
No, I think, you know what? I probably would have made my son a punk. He probably would have been crying all the time. Because I was like, no, we don't need no more punks.
That's kind of true, because with girls, like we're harder on girls, and with my son, I am a bit of a softie with him. And I was like, is it because he's the only one, or he's just soft with me? He really takes care of me, asks me what I need. He not his sisters, but me. You can ask your sisters too,
I needed one of those.
Yeah, I mean, he's always taking care of me. I call him my little man. I was like, you a little man of the house. And every time we go out, I'm like, are you going to protect me? I need my bodyguard, and he's looking at me like, Mommy, I can't be your bodyguard. I'm like, yes, you are my bodyguard.
He said, I still play video games when you fall asleep.
Yes. starts giggling like hysterically, like, what? Me? My, yes, your little self. But anyways, it's very difficult for people to understand, whether it's an adoptive baby, biological or not biological. I think when you do have children, it's difficult to understand what true love is until you welcome a little one into your life. Someone who is so vulnerable and impressionable. When they come into your life, it's really at that moment that you realize that you would do the world for them.
And I think I've transferred that energy to animals.
Yeah, animals, but and even other people, because you start to have a different perspective on life, don't you think?
I think the center of that, though, comes from caring for people.
Absolutely, but children bring out,
caring, the concept of caring.
The concept, compassion, yeah. Caring, being more compassionate, having a greater sense of understanding. Now, I'm not telling all of y'all to go out and populate the earth, okay? We got an environment to think about, but I just want to be.
We got some carbon footprints
that we need
to erase.
No, I'm just teasing, but it is truly when you do have someone that is, that depends on you. It is at that moment that you realize that you'll do the world for them. You'll protect them, you'll educate them, and you tend to aspire to guide them on the right path. And we don't always have the tools, right? I don't care. Even the greatest doctor, psychologist, what was his name? Dr. Spock, even him, I was thinking about how he writes about children, etc. But even in himself, it was difficult to even raise his own child. So we aspire to guide them on the right path. That's just something that comes out of having a child. But I also think, in order for us to do that most effectively, we truly have to, within ourselves, we have to take a vested interest in walking our own path, making sure that they have an opportunity to see how foundations are built, and taking that opportunity to leverage our particular life experiences to help them carve out their own place within life most effectively. So I think that, yes, children for sure was one of the most optimal experiences that I had within my life that helped me to grow, develop, and cultivate who I am today. Right.
I think,
go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, please share.
No, I was just saying that when you say optimal experiences too, I think the relationship we had with sports also provided us with optimal experiences.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you know what? Do you ever think like everybody who is on this earth has a role, and if they don't accomplish that role, how that stands to affect the greater good? Do you believe that is a thing?
Okay, because I'm about to tell you, it's a wonderful segue into my last question for you, right? Absolutely. We are all tied together, okay? We have lost this notion because we don't necessarily educate our children in school about it, but before we had language, right? And I always talk about this, we communicated telepathically. We communicated in ways that were designed to help us guide one another. And, I wrote a book. I started writing a book. It's called God, Guides of Destiny. And I'm going to continue with that book because I truly believe that we have to be mindful that we all bring value within this life. And even in the individual who is in the most deplorable state within their life adds value. And I think so often about how individuals tend to be God and take other people's lives. I'm like, God damn, you just took a key. Stop taking lives. You don't know what that person was designed to do. And you just ripped that life, probably hindering us from being able to be more progressive or
that is funny that you said that, because when I was younger in high school, I will never forget this bumper sticker. And it was talking about abortion. And it said, God, why don't you send someone to help us? And he said, I sent somebody to help you, but you keep killing them, aborting them. Yeah, aborting them.
Yeah.
It was an abortion, but that was for abortion. So that's interesting that you say that, because I don't want to get on that topic, but whatever.
No, you can get on that topic, because I think it's
no, because that's actually, because they've tried to politicize that, and so it has become so complex, and it's really kind of ruining the world, like politicizing, something like that.
Well, I think we have to be mindful too about abortion. I don't agree with that life begins at conception. I don't.
Oh no, and even though I consider myself a scientist, I don't believe that either.
Yeah, I've never been a believer, but I do believe that when a child takes their first breath, once that child takes their first breath, their soul is whole. They've come into this world and they have a purpose. Okay. I believe that there is a reason for abortion. And I think it's very important that we allow women to make the decision for themselves. Because if an individual brings a child into this world and they don't have the capability, I think it's their right to make a decision.
Yeah, like the nurturing, the ability to educate, love, all of that. Because when that Roe versus Wade thing hit, and just real quick, and they overturned it, I went on Twitter, because that's really the only social media platform that I have open. Well, all of them are open, but I don't go on. They it's, oh God, where was I going with that? It just slipped right out my brain. Okay. When the Roe versus Wade was overturned, what happened? Oh God, they politicized it. Say what you just said again, and I forgot, so I can remember.
Oh, I was just sharing that I think that women should have the right to make a decision, because we don't know, what was the background for that. We don't know, what underlying factors caused the woman to, and I know I'm adding a little bit more here, but we don't know
That's
what
fine. Go ahead.
factors were that helped a woman to, I shouldn't say help, but that made that woman want to make the decisions that they made, right?
That they had to make. And so okay, so that's what I was gonna say. So on Twitter, it was a whole thread of, they need to leave abortion legal. And these were mainly Caucasian responders, Twitter responses, because I was looking at the pictures, looking at the pictures. One Twitter response was, my mother did not want me, and I wish she had aborted me, because my life has been terrible. And those weren't the words, but that's basically what she said. So you have these unwanted children, and you know what? All day in my clinic, probably at least 3 times a week, I go over with women about having unwanted children, because culturally in the Hispanic population, they have multiples. And it derives out of cultural and religious, because they're Catholic, mainly Catholic. And they don't believe in birth control, or that was the historical thought. But I have that conversation because you have these women that don't have children that they really wanted. But that was so gosh, that was so that really struck me as, oh my goodness, you know, I don't really think I thought about it like that. But yeah, that's all I was going to say about that.
Yeah.
Is that it has its role.
Yes.
Right. It has a role, like, but I think they politicize it because there's this thing about Caucasian people, and they are having children. White women are having children at a slower rate than any other group of people. And so to maintain power, you got to have the people. And they feel like they're losing ground. And in California, they are. They've lost ground.
Right.
But they're not they're not as populous as other groups of people, and this disturbs them.
I told you there was a book that it's a white guy who wrote it, who was talking about that. I got to get the name of that book. I think I said that in a couple episodes ago.
Well, it's a white woman who talks about it.
Oh, okay. But he was just talking about how, the abortion is a race issue. This is about making sure that a particular population does not lose ground.
Yeah, because I work for a very large organization, which will remain nameless.
Okay.
And I wrote about her since being in DMP, being in my doctoral program. But her name was Sanger, and she believed in eugenics. So that is how this organization got established. She was one of the influencers or one of the founders. And it was okay for persons of color to come in, have as many abortions as you want. As a matter of fact, we'll pay for them. So it was called eugenics. Just look it up.
Okay. Very
interesting. And it was okay for them to, as long as they're doing it, it's okay to have abortion.
Interesting. Yeah.
And these clinics were purposefully placed in places where there were high
rates of other
instances of minorities. And I wrote about it. And I think if my professor, because it was during COVID, so we were online. She sometimes didn't come into the classroom, but I believe she would have came and just like hugged me, because she said, I did not know any of this. That's what she told me. And as a matter of fact, I wish I still had the recording, because she had to record her responses to our work. And she was like, this is just like an amazing piece of writing. And she was like, I feel like I learn from you every time I read something of yours. And so I really like dug into, how abortion has affected minority groups, but how they want to prevent it and politicize it for racial reasons. Prevent it for more of white women.
Okay. Yeah, that's an interesting topic. We'll probably get to talk about that, because and I don't know where we could fit that in. It probably won't be in this particular series for this year, but we'll definitely talk a little bit more about that. But yeah, I mean, we talk about, and just to go back to what you had shared earlier, I know that we kind of jumped on that, but with regards to if you believe that individuals serve as a key to the development to the development or the progression of others, or
right. And if they don't do their part, how does it impact?
Yeah, how does it impact, right? And so it's a great segue, as I was about to get into our final question, as it related to, when we're faced with a challenge, what is our point of view? What is our point of view when we have challenges within our life? Do you Do you see challenges as threats, or do you see them as opportunities for action? And I actually grabbed that from the book, and we'll be reflecting on this a little bit more in a couple of weeks.
And you know not to ask me nothing like that, because you know I love a challenge. Hell, I create them.
just to jump over them, just to wade and go through them. Girl, I said, that is so funny. I swear, as God is my witness, my partner, he does that too. I was like, you be creating shit just so you can just go through it, don't you? Like, what the hell?
Just testing the waters.
I swear, no, really and truly, and I say this all the time. People who do, I was like, you must be very bored, because I swear to God, you literally create shit just so you can see if you can get through it. Help me to understand that.
Now I was saying mine. I was saying
you do that.
I was saying mine in jest, but it almost feels like I create challenge. I think they just come my way because you do have a certain energy about you, and challenges come your way. One, to test your response, and I think now, like being reflected, I think mine have always been to test my emotional intelligence, to determine, when are you gonna stop acting a fool? Because I pop off. I did it yesterday with the pharmacist. I've been allowing me to prescribe Ozempic for the last 2 months to a Medi-Cal patient. And then y'all gonna tell me today, on the day that she has due, she has to give her injection weekly. It's a weekly injection to help the weight loss. You've probably seen it on TV. It's semaglutide. Yeah, but everybody want to get started on it. And now they come into the clinics because they're like, we can get a clinic provider to give us semaglutide, to give us Ozempic, give us Wegovy. I said, instead of working out, instead of changing your diet, I had one patient, he stopped drinking pop. He lost 20 pounds in 1 month. But y'all think it's the drug, but okay. Well, anyway, so me and the pharmacist was talking. Well, first it wasn't the pharmacist and I. It was another. It was the, like, the gatekeeper, the help. She was like, we're not going to be able to fill this medication for the patient unless you put a diagnosis of diabetes. I said, ma'am, I said, she don't have diabetes. I said, her BMI is 54 though. I said, so she needs it. And I said, and now you want me to call the patient and I said, forget it. Let me speak to a pharmacist. I speak to the pharmacist, so she must be new. Because she said, well, FDA hasn't approved as a weight loss regimen then. I said, well, I'll be damned. It's been a weight loss regimen since last year, but I don't know when it started. It's been a weight loss regimen. And honey, well, what the hell was y'all filling it for as a weight loss regimen? Because that was the diagnosis code I sent over with the med when I asked them. So anyway, long story short, they said yesterday they can't fill it because she a Medi-Cal patient. She should have never been getting it. Whole mistake. Oh, I was livid. Oh, I was furious because this patient has been coming in my office. I mean, so it's so sad. A BMI of 54. Do you know how big this girl is? She just had a baby, and after she had the baby, it's just rapid weight gain. I checked her for everything. I said, I don't know what condition you have, but this is exaggerated. This is, maybe we should study this. This is just dynamic. The weight gain that she has, right? And you're gonna die of heart disease tomorrow with this BMI at 54, and she young too, right? So I was furious. I was like, and I was about to pop off, but then I was like, don't do it. You being tested. This is your challenge. Your emotional intelligence. You do want your IQ to remain high, right? You want your you want your emotional IQ to be perceived as elevated. So I softened what I was about to say to her because I was about to let loose. Keep in mind, I got people on my right and my left. I'm not in that office by myself. Which anyway, but yeah, I think for challenges, I think I appreciate a challenge because I like to think critically. I like to sit around and think. I don't mind having thoughts. I like thinking. And I think challenges help you to do that. I think challenges are here to build you, build your character. So I appreciate them, how they come. It's here to teach me something.
It is, it definitely is. Each challenge is an opportunity for growth. It is in that challenge you will see growth. And I value that. I value that because sometimes if we aren't pushed or challenged, we won't take the time to find a solution for a particular issue, right? And it's in those moments where we feel like there is no hope, there is no light, there is no end of the light there is no light at the end of the tunnel, that all of a sudden something sparks in us and we're like, oh, here's the solution, right? And when I thought about this respective question, it made me think about, I don't know if you recall the story of a Spanish woman. And she was struggling. She had 2 kids. She didn't know how she was going to feed them. She didn't know how she was going to take care of them. We're talking about abortion, right? So guess what she tried to do? She ends up putting a gun to both of her children. She kills the girl and shoots the boy in the back, but he manages to live, right? And that hurt me. I ended up writing a poem. I don't know what happened. The moment I read it, as soon as I read it, this poem just flowed out of me. And I had to write it real quick. I was just writing because I was just livid. And I'm going to read this poem to you because I think it's very important that people know that life is not perfect. It never will be. Life will have good days. You will, for sure, have bad days. But within that is not the moment that you make a decision to kill someone or yourself, because that person, as you had shared before, serves as a key. We don't know what door they will unlock, but each one of us has to go through so that we can find the solution. And so the poem I wrote is called What If I Told You? What if I told you your daughter you killed solved world hunger? Her plight in life will be no blunder. She will have to go through what it feels like to possess stomach pains. Desiring the moistness of one single grain so that she can devise a solution for man, God's plan. What if I told you your son you shot possesses a beautiful gift, possibly jeopardized because of the wounds you left, a future tattered, dreams shattered. The seed you carried once brought into this world is no longer yours to decide. You have no jurisdiction on one's life once they take that first breath. You are their mother, to guide, to rear until death. Your constant interference trying to craft one's destiny is in the hands of the universe, a gift to the world, our blessing. My sister, you have been led astray. I pray for your son. Please let the hands that touch him heal him. And I closed with the fallacy of it all. All right, folks. I'm sorry that was a bit much. Every time I think of that story, I think about how we have to be so mindful that we are stewards, and we have to be positive stewards, good stewards, so that we can see the growth and progressiveness of our future generations. All right, so sorry, didn't mean to end on an emotional note. But that's a wrap for our conversations today. I truly hope that you all enjoyed that. But of course, we are not going to end on a tearful moment because we are lovers of music. And to kick things off for our first episode of That Good Life and prepare our mind for the weeks ahead, we will debut our song for this episode. Tiffany, and I'll let you decide. Do you have a song choice, or are you still?
No, and you know what? I'm gonna be honest, I forgot.
Oh, don't worry. Guess what? Because I got you, girl. I got you.
Right, exactly.
Giving a little Kanye.
Oh God.
Giving a little Kanye West and T-Pain some love that's today with The Good Life. They actually have a song out called The Good Life, and I love it. Now, the way that they define a good life is a little hot mess, but, I think it's so important that we take the time to have an understanding of what that means for us, and try our best, to live that good life. Within the song, he talks about, like we always do at this time, I go for mine, I gots to shine. Now throw your hands up in the sky. I go for mine, I gots to shine. Now throw your hands up in the sky. I'm gonna get on this TV, mama. I'm gonna put shit down. All right. So I just thought I'd share Kanye West, T-Pain. I love that song. It was so perfect for this particular episode. Next week, Tiffany, you got us. You better research. I told folks I'm a researcher. I don't be knowing half these songs. And then when I'm like, yeah, that's a good one.
I got you.
You got me. All right, good deal. All right, folks. So join us in 2 weeks as we continue our conversations about that good life. We will discuss the flow, right? We'll discuss the flow and continue to talk about that. We do look forward to you joining us. And of course, in preparation for our discussions, we have included in the description where you can pick up a copy of the book. To access all replays or learn more about Kinky Knots Cafes, Proactive is the way. Please visit www.kinkyknotscafe.com. Proactive is the way, my friends. Take good care.